All right, shalom. We're in Isaiah chapter 20. Yeshayahu chapter 20, starting at verse 1. All right, in the year that Tartan came to Ashdod, when Sargon, the king of Assyria, sent him, and he fought against Ashdod and took it. All right, so we're given a timeline here, which I'm not sure what it is, but if I do the research, if I do the homework, all you got to do is look up Sargon, the king of Assyria. When was Sargon? Hopefully there's only one Sargon. If there's multiple Sargons, then that's going to be tricky. All right, my wife looked it up. So she looked up the word Sargon, H5623, and it says, king of Assyria, son of Shalmaneser, and father of Sennacherib, ruled from 721 to 702 BC, conqueror of Samaria. So that's helpful. You know, if you want to go deeper than that, obviously you got to dig in deeper resources than the concordance, but just a little tip of how to study, so you get the timelines by that. That's how a lot of the scholars and stuff, people get different timelines by looking at these kings, any historical references to these guys, any historical writings being written about these people. Check it all out. But anyways, so this is happening during this time. At that time, Yahuwah spoke by Yeshayahu, the son of Amos, saying, go and loosen the sackcloth from off your waist, and take your sandals from off your feet. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. Interesting. Yahuwah said, as my servant Isaiah has walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and a wonder concerning Egypt and concerning Ethiopia, so the king of Assyria will lead away the captives of Egypt and the exiles of Ethiopia, young and old, naked and barefoot, and with buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. I'm telling you, man, the lives of these prophets. To be an Israelite living in the days of these kinds of prophets. I don't know the depths of the extent of this assignment, but I know a critical guy like me, I'd be looking at Yeshayahu like, what in the world is he doing? You know what I'm saying? That's my carnal, natural human reaction, is like, what is up with this dude? But hopefully if you're experienced or been around Yeshayahu and know his reputation, it might be something to be like, all right, what has Yahuwah got him doing this time? Or what is he hearing this time? You know, I don't know anything more than what I just read here. I don't know if he was walking in the streets. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say, I don't know, but this is definitely intense. Does anybody, 3 years, that's a long time. I can imagine he went outside every once in a while. And I don't know if this is, again, this is my human mind trying to understand this prophet. It's out there, man. Did he clothe himself when he went outside and just walk around naked in his house? Or was he walking around, all the time as a prophetic sign? If y'all have any thoughts, let me know. But this seems radical. That's my point. It's radical. Again, what Yahuwah does with these prophets is radical. And what Yahuwah tells these prophets comes to pass. It's not like these fake prophets we have that try to be very broad and generic with their prophecies. And, sometimes the prophecies don't even come to pass. There ain't no signs and wonders following these guys. But they want to prophesy. Now, these guys, Yeshayahu, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, these guys were the real deals. All right? So there's a prophecy of what Yahuwah is going to do with concerning Mitzrayim, Egypt, and Ethiopia. Verse 5, they will be dismayed and confounded because of Ethiopia, their expectation, and of Mitzrayim, their glory. The inhabitants of this coastland will say in that day, behold, this is our expectation, where we fled for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria. And how will we escape? Hands. Brian. Gotta unmute yourself, brother.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, I was just making a comment about what you were saying about, yeah, I believe that he was actually a sign and a wonder to for the Egyptians. So yeah, I think he would have been outside as far as because you can't really be a sign and a wonder if you're inside your house. So yeah, I think he would have been exposed outside for the people to see him in that state, and so they would be to be a sign and a wonder of what was the I guess it says in verse 3, and the Lord said, like, as my servant Isaiah hath walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and a wonder upon Egypt and upon Ethiopia, so shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians prisoner and the Ethiopians captive, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. So yeah, I think he would have been seen outside among the people in order to be that sign and wonder. So, and well, never mind. That's all I had to say.
Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. I know a question I have is, did this prophecy come to pass? Has it not come to pass yet? That's an immediate question I have when I'm reading. But just throwing it out there. Sister Ezzy, what you got for us?
Oh, so you can just unmute now. I don't have to say okay. Okay. Um, um, I would just say that this is very interesting. I can somewhat relate to this passage in my own testimony, but I think that there's an aspect of, Egypt being this place that is bountiful in scripture, and in earlier times being a place of milk and honey and riches. And when you relate nakedness to land, it's barren, it's desolate. There's a level of destruction and scarcity, to the point where people have nowhere else to turn but to the Father. So I don't know what type of destruction that he's bringing on this land other than what was before. But, if we relate it, when you're dealing with the prophets, they do a lot of things to themselves to show or metaphorically, bring about an understanding of what's going to happen to another person or land. So I would think of the nakedness in the land.
Yep, absolutely. Any other hands? Nope. Nobody want to touch on this passage? Mm-hmm. Okay. Don't nobody want to touch on this? No. Isaiah 19:4. I know we're reading it. Yeah, let's just go back. Isaiah. Oh, that was the previous chapter. I just saw a cross reference. Isaiah 19 verse 4 says, I will give over the Egyptians into the hand of a cruel Lord. A fierce king will rule over them, says the Lord Yahuwah of armies. So again, this is a prophecy. I think we can attest to historically something real tragic, some type of demolish and destruction happened into Egypt with all the, pyramids that got destroyed and all the images. There is something historical there. I just don't know what it is personally. So, but I think there is definitely something that happened in history, probably by the Romans or Greeks or something. Just thinking out loud. All right. Isaiah 20 verse Oh, that's it. I finished 5 and 6. So again, just more bad news for Egypt and Ethiopia. Moving on to the next chapter. Oh, Diana. There you go. I'll let you get in. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, so I was looking at the passage before that. It says that he told him to loosen the sackcloth from his loins and take his shoes off. And he did so walking naked and barefoot. So maybe it just means that he took off the sackcloth and his shoes. It doesn't sound like it seems like they meant naked, just meaning loose the sackcloth off your loins or around your waist, but not that he was totally naked. And but I think he was barefoot because he took his shoes off. Because I'm just thinking in that time, even if he was a prophet of Yahuwah, if he walked around butt naked, he would be ridiculed. He could get a cold. He could die. His message would be lost, and people would think that he was mad, like King Nebuchadnezzar. So I think that maybe it just meant that he took off the sackcloth and walked around without shoes or sandals.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Somebody has some critical thinking here. You know what I call that? I call that a save. That was the ball got knocked out to the outfield and the guy was getting ready to run to home base, but you were able to throw it and Diana caught the ball and tagged the guy. And he's out. Or I should say, Diana ran to home base to where we needed to go to get some understanding on this, and she didn't get tagged out. I like that interpretation, Diana. I think it was great. That makes sense. Sackcloth is not an entire robe, guys. Why didn't I think of that?
Because you're tired.
Because I'm tired. Sackcloth is a part of the garment, and the sandals are part of a garment. He didn't ask him to walk completely, but you know what, around the place. That makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you, Diane.
Welcome.
Sam or Catriel, go ahead.
Sam here. Yes, yeah. I'm understanding this as he's making an example of the slaves, those that were enslaved. Therefore, as Diane said, he did take his sackcloth off. But if you go back to the days of Adam and Eve, they did sew together leaves to cover their front nakedness, so they still may have something on their front with their backside out, and they're still protecting their front self. So that's an interpretation I'm looking at, and they are making he is making a representation of the slaves, the Egyptian captives, and the Ethiopian exiles by doing that.
Yeah, do you are you mentioning the slaves of Egypt and Ethiopia as in a historical event? If so, like, do you know roughly what time?
I don't know, but I can do some research to find out.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you for that comment. Kieran and then Brian.
Yeah, I was just going to say the word used, the Strong's word used for naked there is H6174, arom, and it says, in its original sense, nude, either partially or totally naked. It's been translated 15 times, every time was to naked. But it does come from a word.
Sorry about that, Kieran. Go ahead. Keep going.
H6191, aram, which says properly to be or make bare. But used in the derived sense through the idea perhaps of being smoothness, to be cunning, usually in a bad sense. So it's come from a word that doesn't necessarily mean completely naked. It says here to be subtle, to be shrewd, to be crafty. Beware, take crafty counsel. So it does, the word that they have used does denote totally nude, but it has come from a word that doesn't.
So more partially, probably, most likely. I would like to believe so. And probably David as well. David, I would dance like that when the spirit of Yahuwah came upon my heart. Dance like, right? He went out there and says he danced naked. My whole entire life, I've always thought he was completely, but no, he had some clothing on. He was just more bare than what he normally was. And so I think, yeah, it's making sense. It's making sense. This will be along the same line, probably as David. Brian, thank you for that, by the way. That's how you study, guys. You look up words. You look up the concordances. You try to go to the origin, all that stuff. Good job. Very good. Brian.
Yeah, I was just as far as the naked is how much naked he was. It does say in verse 4. It says so shall the king of Syria lead away Egyptian prisoners and Ethiopian captives, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. So it's saying even when you talk about the buttocks being uncovered, that's what we call in English terms butt naked. So I don't know. I'll leave it at that.
He said, Brian wants to stay on the other side now. Look at this. We over here trying to reason and be a little sensible. Brian wants to stay over here with it. Brian, the verse said that that's what Egypt and Ethiopia is going to be. It doesn't say that that's necessarily what Yeshayahu was. How's that?
Yeah, he was giving that sign, the wonder to portray what they're going to be like in the future. They're going to be led away butt naked, and so he was the sign and wonder as a harbinger or a warning to Egypt of this is how you are going to be in the future. This is going to be your judgment, and so I don't know. It was just leave it at that.
All right, cool. We'll leave it there. Let's move on to the next chapter. Fair enough. Isaiah 21. It says, the burden of the wilderness of the sea, as whirlwinds in the south sweep through, it comes from the wilderness, from an awesome land. A grievous vision is declared to me. The treacherous man deals treacherously, and the destroyer destroys. Go up, Elam, attack. I have stopped all of Media's signs. So again, we got some more lands here being spoken of. I wonder if this is a carryover from the previous chapters. We would have to look up Elam and Media again to see what's being spoken about. I know Media says middle land. Let's see. Land inhabited by the descendants of Japheth, located northwest of Persia, south and southwest of Caspian Sea, east of Armenia and Assyria, and west and northwest of the great salt desert of Aram. Another definition is that a people descended from the son of Japheth and who inhabited the territory of Media. Obviously. Elam. Let's see.
Raise a hand when you're ready.
All right. A province east of Babylon and northeast of Lord Tigris. Didn't I say the Babylonians and the Romans, Greeks probably had something to do with this? Go up, Elam. So Elam is probably connected with Babylonians. Besiege, O Media, all the signs thereof have I made to cease. I don't know, sounds like Yahuwah is using these Greeks or these Romans or Babylonians or whatever to do the punishment that he's talking about for the Ethiopians and the Egyptians. Jadiel, help us out, brother. Help us out here.
Elam is actually Shem's son. He could be telling Shem's children to go and besiege the Medes or nation, which will be Israel. Elam is Shem's, I think it's his first son. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking Eber is from along as well. No?
All right, something to think about. You have anything? Your thing's kind of choppy, brother. It's kind of choppy. Yeah, sorry, Jadiel. Chris.
Shalom. Yeah, I just wanted to give some historical reference to the Medes. That term was used historically to combine Mede and Persia together. The Medo-Persian Empire, which would be whom Yah used that army of the Persians to conquer the Babylonians, and then subsequently conquered, took over after the Babylonians conquered on the southern kingdom. So the Medes were descendants of, or part of that Medo, what they call MEDO / Persian Empire. And that would have been the army that, or the nation that defeated Babylon after they conquered the southern kingdom.
All right, so in this passage, are you saying that this is the passage saying that this is Babylonians being defeated by these Medo-Persians?
What I see in the passage is Yah using Isaiah to communicate what will happen in the future as far as the positioning of nations, because he's in control. Yah's in control of who rises and who falls. He proves that with Nebuchadnezzar reminding him that it is I who gave you your kingdom. And then we have Daniel receiving the prophecy of the statue of the statue made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, and then clay. This all ties in for me. I'm not saying specifically, because this chapter, from just reading my readings, does not give specifically when the Medo-Persian army will come to power. But we know after reading, further in the prophets that Darius, Cyrus, all these guys come into power. In Isaiah, Yah speaks of how he will raise up Cyrus, his anointed one. To me, this speaks to Yah being in complete control of how the nations and their kings will be used as his instrument of judgment or his instrument of punishment against particularly Israel and Judah for their disobedience, just as he shames Egypt and Ethiopia because there was a political relationship, a very close political relationship with Israel and Egypt. We know King Solomon married the Egyptian, the daughter of the king of Egypt. It was a very close relationship, and their faith was not in Yah, but within the power of an authority, or of the position and power of Egypt at that time. And Yah was saying, I'm going to show you your trust in Egypt and Ethiopia. I'm going to shame them and thus shame you for not trusting me.
So real quick, in this passage, if you can answer real quickly, who's besieging who?
Well, see, it doesn't, just from me reading, I can't tell you who's being besieged. It's just saying go. He's calling the Medo-Persian Empire, which at this time was still not very big. It was a fledgling, civilization. It was not yet powerful, but I see, Yah calling them to siege, and we know that eventually in the scriptures, as you read on in Isaiah, that the Persians will besiege Babylon and go on to control what we call today the Middle East or Palestine.
All right, thank you, Chris. Appreciate that.
In verse 9, it says, Babylon is fallen, and all the carved images of her gods he has broken to the ground. So here we see that Babylon will be besieged by the Medo-Persian Empire, and they will then take control.
And perhaps this is connected with that verse, with verse 2, maybe. Well, we do see Babylon and, like you said, Medo-Persians in this verse, right? You said Elam is connected with Babylon as an option. I know Jadiel says Elam is a son of Shem, but I saw the definition of Babylon being related to this word here, this place, and then Medo-Persian. So thank you for that. I'm gonna go to Karen or Kefa.
It's me. Like you guys normally do, I looked up the Strongs for Elam. Oh, hold on, clicked off. It says H5867, and I do see that it says that Elam is a son of Shem. I did the whole Strongs thing in the Blue Letter Bible, and that's what came up. Do you see that?
I see Korite, Levite, chief man, tribe of Benjamin, ancestor, family of exiles, with Zerubbabel, chief of the people, signed with the covenant, the Nehemiah, an ancestor, family of exiles who returned with Zerubbabel, priest who assisted a dedication of the wall, another head, a family, a return of the exiles, a province east of Babylon.
It doesn't say it, but Bereshit 10:22.
Oh, a different concordance, like a Strong's. I see the Strong's. I'm looking at BDB. BDB is another concordance, but the Strong's says it. The Strong's says probably from H5956, hidden, that is distant. Elam, a son of Shem. I don't know what the Shem connection would be with the context, though.
Right.
I think Babylon would fit more with what we've been reading about in the past couple chapters.
Okay.
But thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I wasn't seeing. I had to scroll down and look at the Strongs. The BDB doesn't seem to have that definition. All right, let's keep going. Interesting. Verse 3. It says, "Therefore, my thighs are filled with anguish. Pains have seized me, like the pains of a woman in labor. I am in so much pain that I can't hear. I am so dismayed that I can't see. My heart flutters. Horror has frightened me. The twilight that I desire has been turned into trembling for me." I just want to pause real quick. This is Isaiah the prophet, the man of Yahuwah speaking, writing, right? This is what a very strong, set apart man is going through. Just want to point that out. This man, I hope you guys can see the humanity in here. He's in pain. He's in so much pain he can't hear. He's looking for twilight that I desire has been turned into trembling for me. Do you guys see a little humanity in here? I mean, you'd be wondering like, oh, we should be trusting in Yahuwah. You know what I mean? Fear not, fear nothing. Walk through the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil, right? I don't think a lot of us know what these prophets were going through and how hated they were by their own people. So I just felt the humanity in this. I just wanted to pause real quick before I kept reading more. Diana, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say my translation says, "Therefore my loins are filled with pain. Pangs have taken a hold upon me as the pangs of a woman that travails." To me, I see that as even more painful. I mean, your thighs can hurt, but when a woman is, I'm thinking it's more of the lower part of your belly area and your intestines and the pain that can be that, because he said he was bowed down at hearing it. I think that it was even more than you say. The pain was enough to make him just almost want to fall over at the pain. He couldn't even barely move, so I think that has a lot to do with it. And again, like you said about the prophets, remember Yahusha said that a prophet is not welcome in his own country, And we know that when Yahuwah sent all his prophets, they were all killed, and then the son was killed. So that's true.
Amen. And they're also responsible with this heavy revelation of a lot of death and a lot of tragedy. I mean, can you imagine the I don't know what else to call it, but traumatizing encounters, for lack of better terms, that these guys might have been having with Yahuwah. I know that sounds horrible, but it's just like this whole book of Isaiah is just filled with dreams and prophecies and hearing Yahuwah's voice and being asked to do things in the future and what's happening with this country and that country and your own people, Israel. That's a lot. All right, but thank you for that, Diana. Let's see. Continue reading Isaiah 21, verse 4. No, I read that. Verse 5. It says, they prepare the table. So my question is, who's the they?
Mine does not have that.
Okay, so my translation has they. Some translations don't. It says, they set the watch. They eat. They drink. Rise up, you princes. Oil the shield. What does yours say? Read it out loud.
Prepare the table. Watch in the watchtower. Eat, drink. Arise, ye princes, and anoint the shield.
All right. I like that one, actually. It's almost like a directive, a prophet. I like that prophecy. All right. For, what is this? Adon, the Lord? Mm-hmm. For the Lord said to me, go, set a watchman. Let him declare what he sees. When he sees a troop, horsemen in pairs, a troop of donkeys, a troop of camels, he shall listen diligently with great attentiveness. He cried like a lion. Lord, I stand continually on the watchtower in the daytime, and every night I stay at my post. All right, so this watchman is doing his job. He's watching. He says, behold, here comes a troop of men, horsemen in pairs. And he answered, fallen, fallen is Babylon, and all the engraved images of her gods are broken to the ground. Sounds like a beautiful song to sing. You are my threshing and the grain of my floor. That which I have heard from Yahuwah of armies, the Elohim of Yisrael, I have declared to you. So if I'm not mistaken, this watchman gave this message. This is what he saw. Fallen, fallen is Babylon, and it's kind of what I'm seeing. I don't know if I'm reading that wrong.
Prophecy. I don't think it's what's going to.
Verse 11, the burden of Dumah. One calls to me out of Seir. Turn on the light here. Watchman. Quote, watchman, what of the night? Watchman, what of the night? What does yours say for 11?
Same.
All right. Verse 12, the watchman said, so there's this interaction between, I don't know, Isaiah's maybe given a story, a parable of some sort. He's given a story of this watchman and this person that's commanding this watchman to do his job. That's what it sounded like to me. Watchman, what of the night? Watchman, what of the night? The watchman said, the morning comes, and also the night. If you will inquire, come back again. The burden on Arabia. In the forest in Arabia you will lodge. You caravans of Dedanites. They brought water to him who was thirsty. The inhabitants of the land of Tamah met the fugitives with their bread. We should look these up. Look up the Dedanites. I think we're all familiar with Arabia. And then look up Tamah. It says, they brought water to him who was thirsty. The inhabitants of the land of Tamah met the fugitives with their bread. For they fled away from the swords, from the drawn sword, from the bent bow, and from the heat of battle. For the Lord said to me, within a year, as a worker bound by contract would count it, all the glory of Kedar will fail, and the residue of the number of the archers, the mighty men of the children of Kedar, will be few, for Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yisrael, has spoken it. 16 and 17 seems to be a nice summary of what we were probably reading. So I'm going to look up Kedar from 16 and 17. I don't know if anybody pulled up the other words.
That's the first time it shows up in scripture.
That's the first time it shows?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You want to pause?
Kedar, H6938, means dark, son of Ishmael, or descendants of Kedar. That's redundant. I don't like when definitions do that. Why do concordance do that? Dusky, of the skin or the tent. Kedar, a son of Ishmael. So Ishmaelite. Some kind of relationship with the Ishmaelites, which is a child of Abraham and Hagar.
Mm-hmm. So Egyptian.
So Egyptian, thank you. Kedar, son of Ishmael, as his descendants are representatives. So some relationship. Again, I think it's all flowing together. The previous chapter is talking about Ethiopia, Egypt, Mitzrayim. And then in this chapter, we were introduced with Babylon again, Medo-Persians. But at the end here, so it says, all the glory, verse 16, within a year, as a worker bound by contract would count it, all the glory of Kedar, which is related to these Egyptians, will fail. It's about Egypt falling. And the residue of the number of the archers, the mighty men of the children of Kedar, will be few, for Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, has spoken it. We got more hands up. I'll go with Ezzy and then Chris.
So yeah, I think it's definitely prophecy. But if we go to Revelation, it says in chapter 6, verse 15, and the sovereigns of the earth and the great ones and the rich ones and the commanders and the mighty and every slave and every free one hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him sitting on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, because the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand? So when it's talking about in verse 8, a lion, O Yahuwah, I stand continually on the watchtower in the daytime, and I have sat at my post every night. I mean, Yahusha is ultimately the watchman, that came and saw the people and was able to give a report of the good news, but also confirm prophecy of what's to come. He confirmed a lot of things that Isaiah spoke about. So not only has Babylon fallen, in this time, but there is a beast system of Babylon, a global world system of Babylon. So I can relate this to end times just as well as, what may happen in the setting that Isaiah is in. So I think it's a lot deeper than just, what's occurring in this time, but also what might be occurring in the end time when the beast system Babylon, officially forever falls, never to rise again. So
Hallelujah.
What verse?
What was that in Revelation? Let me call on you again. Where you at? You moved. There you are.
Sorry. That was Revelation 6. Hold on, let me go back. That was Revelation 6. 15. Revelation 6, 15 through 17.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Chris. You got to unmute yourself, Chris.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring out this point that Isaiah's prophecy covers literally thousands of years of of prophetic prophecies that would come to pass. It's a very comprehensive prophecy. It's not just for the immediate moment, but it's speaking all the way to Messiah and his return, or his, his appearance. And the Elam and Media were small tribes during the time Isaiah was speaking of their arise to, or ascension to power, and the destruction of Babylon. So it's interesting that in verse 2, these two names, Elam and Medium, they were so small at this time. They were no threat to Babylon, no threat to no one, but yet Yah allowed Isaiah to see that I'm going to raise these two small Medo-Persian, tribal people to power, where they will be, the Medo-Persian Empire. And so that's why in verse 9, when you the speak of the watchmen and declaring Babylon had fallen, it was these two small tribes in verse 2 that Yah would eventually use them to rise to, to the point where when Babylon conquers the southern kingdom, Yah uses Isaiah to say that Cyrus, who was, the descendant of Darius, he would use him as the anointed one to fulfill the 70-year captivity and let Judah, or Ezra and his, return to restore, Jerusalem. And that, I just think is mind-boggling that Isaiah received that much insight on what would happen hundreds of years, 70 years, 10. It's just, I could see the burden that Isaiah bared. It was overwhelming. That's why he felt these pains. Like you were saying, Brother D, so much was revealed to him about literally thousands of years of information, all in his little lifetime. It's amazing.
I could just hear the mockers now. Persians, what? The who? The Elam? They're not even nobody, man. What's wrong with you? You ain't no prophet, man. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Wow. Very interesting. Milo.
Yeah, I want to go into Revelations. I'm almost wondering, as you guys are talking, if he's seeing what played out to Yehukanan and Revelations going that far, because in Revelations 14, verse 8, it says, and another messenger followed, saying, Babel is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her whoring. And then goes on. So it's almost that kind of connected with what Ezzy was saying and what you were saying, Brother Chris, in regards to the pangs and everything you're mentioning, like seeing the destruction and what's to come, and to be overwhelmed by the severity of the situation. Because if I'm not mistaken, at this point, Israel is not yet under Babylonian captivity. So they haven't even gone through their exile yet to Babylon, let alone saying that Babylon's going to fall. So it's like,
Interesting. Yeah, they went to Babylon again, right?
Oh, this will be the first time, because Assyria took the northern kingdom.
Well, before Yahusha came on the scene, they went. Jehudah went into Babylonian captivity and then was able to get back in the land. But then after the destruction in 70 A.D., now there's this, I guess, this spiritual Babylonian captivity going on with these different nations, America and whatever other countries are involved, supposedly. Brother Chris, want to talk about that?
Just to support what Millie was saying, there was only one captivity, and it had not happened yet. Babylon was still a regional power during Isaiah's prophecies. But
yes, during Isaiah's prophecy. I thought she was talking about John in Revelation.
I was saying if he had seen what Yehukanan.
My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was saying before, I was wondering if Yeshayahu was seeing also what Yehukanan was seeing later on with Babylon being fallen, because it does mention it here. Babylon is fallen, and then the similar verbiage is used in Revelations. But yes, the actual Babylonian captivity was physically.
Yeah. I agree with you. The prophecies and Revelations uses the symbolic imageries of the literal Babylon to communicate a greater spiritual issue of Babylon in Revelation. So yeah, definitely the Yochanan was well versed in Isaiah and Jeremiah and Daniel's prophecies. And the Ruach gives him revelation of what the prophets of old had spoken to communicate a greater spiritual reality that will happen in our generation or our lifetimes or our children's lifetime, but in the future.
Good stuff. Yeah, like you said, I think you summed it up real well. Isaiah, this is a man that's given thousands of years of prophecies from his time to Messiah returning, the second coming, which still hasn't happened yet. So he's been seeing stuff of things that hasn't even been fulfilled yet. And as we read through Isaiah, we're going to see a lot of that. Good stuff. Ezzy?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to turn my camera around if I can.
Want to share your screen? Or you? Oh,
no, because I'm on my phone. Can you see? No, you can't see it. But anyways, in my scriptures, there is a map on here just to kind of give, I guess, clarity to where they're talking about and why Shem might be related. So there's a map, and it clearly shows the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran for this Media or Meday. And I guess it shows the different lands that the descendants of Noah had, and Shem is right above Media. So if Elam is supposed to be a descendant of Shem, my understanding is, the son kind of expands the land of the father. So I don't know if maybe that's related. I wish I could show it to you, but Shem is literally right above this modern day Iran, which is referred to as Media. So
got it. That's probably what Jadiel wanted to touch on. But yeah, I mean, Shem had more than just one son, right? So you got Abraham coming from Terah and Terah coming from Shem, but Shem had other kids too. And so, yeah, you would think that they'll be close by around Israel. Interesting. Yeah, good point.
I wonder if it's Babylon. If it's, gotta look into that one.
Didn't Abraham come from Babylon? I mean, hello, wasn't he born and raised? Right? Chris, you wanna?
Yeah, he was from Ur of the Chaldees, and so that area of Babylon is not, it's not the same Babylon that Abraham came from, but that area was known as Mesopotamia, what we call Mesopotamia, and so it was still tribal. It wasn't quite as unified. They had a lot of city-states historically. So Abraham would have came from Ur of the Chaldees, and there were several city-states governed by various kings. And there was one king who was very popular historically, and I can't say his name, is real long. But yeah, he came from that region.
Yeah, when we're reading these kind of books, man, this is the kind of stuff we got to go into. This is not my forte, my skill level with a lot of the historical and geographical stuff. But it's definitely required and needed to get better understanding of these prophecies of Isaiah. So that's for me and anybody else out there that is unsure how to interpret a lot of Isaiah. Diana?
Okay, I don't know if I'm just throwing this out there because it's kind of confusing to me too. I was just thinking that we're talking about Arabia when we talk about the Kedar, the children of Kedar, and I'm just thinking when it says the mighty men of the children of Kedar shall be diminished, and also the glory of Kedar shall fail. Most of the Arabian world is Muslim, so if we're talking about future, does it mean that in the future, the Muslim religion, Islam religion won't be mighty anymore, will fall?
Fall.
Huh? I don't mean fall like completely gone, but it says diminished and the glory of it shall fail. So I'm thinking that it won't be as it is now. I mean,
I like that. I actually, I'm not like, I guess like that is a weird response to what you just said, but
No,
I see Islam. I see Islam on the rise, like really progressing, prospering economically, socially. I mean, they're growing at a rapid rate. They're multiplying. They're spreading. So I would like to think that that's part of it. Definitely, for sure.
Is that because you're saying Kedar comes from Ishmael and some would say
Ishmaelites?
From
even they admit to be in
Is that the connection?
Ishmaelites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I heard this week. It's just throwing it out there. I heard, the beast, the woman sitting on the beast, and then you have the false prophet. They almost like relate Islam with being the false prophet, being that their motto is, Muhammad is the greatest prophet, and Allah, the creator, has no son. So it's almost like there's three big religions of the world: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. That is statistically, you look it up, it's the three biggest religions in the world. So there seems to be some kind of connection there. All that hopefully will be going down. Judaism and its false, its anti-Messiah, ways. They need to repent. Israel needs to repent just as much as anybody else needs to repent. They all need to be grafted in. They need to come back into the tree, and they can only come in one way. That's through Yahusha. There's no free get out of jail free for Israel just because they're bloodline. We got another hand up. Elishama and Victoria. Go ahead.
So since we were just touching on Islam just real quick, I don't know if you guys heard, but on the 10th of this month, like 2 days ago, they got swarmed of locusts, where they actually had to shut down Mecca and clean it all up. So a lot of people are talking about that's like end time prophecies.
Woo!
So I don't know if you guys seen it, but you could do a quick Google search. It's really, really big. Like it's disgusting how much locusts like cover their whole city up. So there's a lot of issues with that, but I just wanted to tell you guys about it.
I appreciate that. That's good. That's good news. I was just preaching to a Muslim at my job site. I think it was this past week, and I told him about the Mecca issue and the whole stone that they kiss, and everybody goes there to kiss the stone and all that. And I was like, that's idolatry, man. That's not from Moshe. Moshe would not approve of that.
Well, God's showing his hand right now with the whole locust thing, because it's pretty bad.
Praise Yah. I definitely want to look into that. All right, with that being said, we're going to end the recording for now. We'll continue, but I'm just going to end the recording. I did an hour recording. We did Isaiah 20. Yep, Isaiah 20 and 22. Right?
No, we haven't finished 21.
My bad, 21. Isaiah 20 and 21. Did we do 19? 20? Whatever. You know what we did. Just rewind the video. I'm tired.